Mami le belle, mais la moustache et la capuchon. Sito patanilo, minata katiki bunetika. Sito patanilo, minata katiki bunetika. Sito patanilo, minata katiki bunetika. Sito patanilo, minata katiki takatiki. Sito patanilo, minata katiki bunetika. Sito patanilo, minata katiki bunetika. Sito patanilo, minata katiki bunetika. Mami le belle, mais la moustache et la capuchon.
What's going on? This is your man John Fortune, your host of the Frustrated Fan Sports Show. And today is my pre-NFL Draft Combine show. The NFL Draft is coming, the NFL Combine is coming up. And there's some notable players that I want the people to focus on that could possibly fall down to the Redskins at their picks. Currently, the Redskins have the number 2 overall pick. I already said who the Redskins should take. I think it should be Chase Young. But the Redskins also had a third round pick, a 4th round pick, a 5th round pick, and 2 7th round picks. Now, all these guys can possibly drop down to our picks, and I want everybody to focus on these guys because these guys are really good players, and the fact that we have a few issues going on with our team, that I think these guys will basically be the best fits for all our teams. So I'm going to break all this down, and I'm going to start off first with the one position that we just figured out everything is just a disaster with this position, and that's tight end. Now, the first guy that I really like is the tight end from Dayton, Adam Troutman. Adam Troutman is 6'6" and 250-something pounds. He's a great route receiver, a great blocker, and at the same time, he runs kind of like that Joe Gibbs H-back offense at Dayton. So he gets the ball a lot. He had a lot of receiving yards. I think he had like 900 and something receiving yards at Dayton. And he also had like 70 catches. Now, again, he did face a lot of low-level competition at Dayton, but you saw his skills on showcase every time they played. So if he's catching 70-something balls against basically kind of like lower level talent when it comes to that, but again, this guy is a phenomenal player, and I do like Adam Troutman. Now, the guy that I absolutely love at tight end is Devin Asiasi. He's the UCLA tight end, and the guy is the Incredible Hulk. He's 6'3" and 279 pounds. Yes, that's right, a 280-pound tight end who has freakish speed for his size. So let me break this down. One, when you look at the tape on Devin Asiasi, you see a guy who is committed to blocking because he's basically almost the size of a lineman, so he blocks very well. And not only that, he gives the impression that he's going to be blocking all the time. But when he gets out there, he's a matchup nightmare for linebackers and safeties. You don't see that a lot. He does give me that Gronk feel a little bit because he can separate once he catches the ball. Not only that, he has a huge catch radius. And his wingspan is incredible. But again, you're talking about a guy who also gives this great impression that he's a blocker. But when he gets out there and he runs routes and he catches stuff, the guy is a freak. So Devin Asiasi is definitely a guy. I need to see how fast this guy is because for some reason I feel he might end up around that 4.6, 4.7 range when it comes to his speed. He might even probably fall around 4.8, but the guy is, I'm telling y'all, he's the Incredible Hulk. He's a freak, and he's somebody we really should be paying attention to. Our next thing is linebacker. With us moving to the 4-3, these are two guys that I think that with us moving to the 4-3 could possibly help us because they both, what each one lacks, the other one would make up for. So the first guy, now to me in this draft, I don't feel that there's a lot of talented linebackers comparable to last year and the year before. They're good linebackers, but I just don't feel that all of them are as good. So to me, there's that little bit, but I'm going to talk about guys that again can fall down to us. The first guy that I have is Jordan Brooks from Texas Tech. Jordan Brooks is 6'1 and 245. Jordan Brooks, if you look at the tape, he shows up in every defensive play. Now, the guy is quick to the ball. He's very quick to the ball. He blows up a lot of plays. He blows up a ton of plays. Now, to me, it's a surprise to see a linebacker blow up so many plays, but this guy blows up tons and tons of plays. And the fact that he is not ranked higher is amazing to me, but Jordan Brooks is a monster. He can drop down to us at the 4th and 5th round picks, but the guy is a phenom. You got to look at the tape on this guy. I'm going to do my film breakdown, but you got to look at the tape on this guy because he's a freak. I mean, I ain't going to say a freak. He's more of a guy who's very, very skilled and is a hawk when it comes to tackling and everything. He does get mauled by linemen at times, but I kind of think that's the defensive system he's playing in that is causing that problem. My next guy is Francis Bernard from Utah. He's 6 feet, 240. The guy is a very rangy linebacker, so he actually gets in coverage very fast. He's definitely a sure tackler, but the only problem with him is that I think the defensive scheme he was in, it made him play too close to the defensive line. So he was kind of, a lot of times he was caught out of, he kind of was out of, like when he was tracking to make the tackle, he was out of position. So he was out of position a lot, but I think that had more to do with the system he was in, not necessarily his skills. So Francis Bernard is a guy that, again, like I said, you look at Jordan Brooks and Francis Bernard, they can actually complement each other very well if we were to get both of them. But these are two guys that, again, I feel, can fall down to us. I also looked at safety and cornerback with Quinton Dunbar having basically his bipolar moments, whereas he doesn't want to be here one moment, then he goes on the radio show, says he really does want to be here, then he comes back and says, then all of a sudden the report comes back out saying he doesn't want to be here. We don't have time for all that. So I actually have a cornerback that could replace Quinton Dunbar. He does have a few little things he needs to work on, but not as much as you think. And that guy is Jalen Johnson. He's 6 feet. He's 195 from out of Utah. Now, this guy is a very good man-to-man cover corner. He can play some zone. He can't play all zones, but he can play some zones. Now, the thing with this guy is that he can shut a receiver down. The problem is that he doesn't have that recovery speed, which a lot of cornerbacks don't. But he does have the ability to shut a wide receiver down. Now, with that, he does get handsy. That's another thing. He gets very handsy. So there's a lot of times he might get a pass interference issue and stuff like pass interference calls and things like that. But the guy can cover. Not only that, he can track the football very well. If he's in the vicinity of that football, 9 times out of 10, he will take the ball. So those are things that we absolutely love about corners, and this guy is the epitome of that. And like I said, he could replace Quinton Dunbar, could get another third round pick to pick up another one of these guys. So I would strongly think about trading Quinton Dunbar, but this guy, Jalen Johnson, would be the best replacement for him. Now, at safety, we've always had our issues with safety. There are 2 guys at safety that I really like. One is Julian Blackmon, again, another player from Utah. Utah had a very strong defense, very good secondary this year. The other safety is Terrell Burgess, who's rated a lot higher. But to me, Julian Blackmon is probably the better of the 2, even though Terrell Burgess is rated higher. Julian Blackmon is 6'1 and 204 pounds. Now, Julian Blackmon was able to do things that you don't see a lot of safeties do. Now, he's able to track the ball very well, which gives him that free safety ability. But he can also hit. So he's almost like that hybrid safety. He could play either safety spot. Now, when I think about this guy, I think about somebody like Cam Chancellor, who is a guy who's a strong safety, but can play free safety. But this guy, he can play free safety, and he has strong safety ability. But again, he's a phenomenal tackler. Now, he does take poor angles sometimes when it comes to tackling, but he's a phenomenal tackler. And not only can he can cover almost every level, which is actually good when it comes to tight end. I mean, when it comes to these receiving tight ends nowadays, where they're like a massive threat, but he can actually cover on every level. So, and not only that, he's actually a good cover man. He's good when it comes to man-on-man coverage, but he's also good when it comes to zone coverage. So look out for Julian Blackmon. I just need to see how fast he is, because on film he looks fast, but there were times where when he took those poor angles for tackling, he looked kind of slow. So I want to check that out. Last but not least is my guy Kyle Dugger. Kyle Dugger, he plays, somebody else hit me to this guy because I didn't know much about him. They told me about him, which made me go look at some film, some game film and stuff. Now, there's not a lot of quality game film for him because he plays in Division II, but I'm going to tell y'all something. When you see this guy play, he's going to remind you of somebody. I'm not going to say who it is, but I want people to tell me who he reminds you of. But this guy is a monster. He's 6'2" and 220 pounds. He goes to Lenoir-Rhynes, which is a Division II school. He played against VCU. He plays against a lot of those schools, but he looks incredible. Now, I think that there were times where he kind of got lazy, but I think that's because he felt that the competition was so easy at Division II. I think that if he would have played in Division I, he would have probably been he would have probably been ranked higher at the safety position, because again, his measurables is insane. He's definitely fast. He is a short tackler. His problem is that, I think that there are times where he gets a little lazy. So what happens is that you can kind of see in some of the film that he kind of tails off because seems like he's not that interested in playing. So I think that's probably his only traits. But remember, there are times where guys just need that competition to play better. And I think that that's one of them. But I love the guy, and he would be an amazing fit here in DC. At running back, I'm going to tell y'all, after the top 4 running backs, DeAndre Swift, J.K. Dobbins, Zach Moss, and Jonathan Taylor, the whole tailback position just falls off after those 4. So at this point, we do need a running back, but I don't think that we need to force drafting one this year and just wait till the running backs come out next year. That'll be far better. So the guy that I think that we should look at running back is J.J. Taylor, only because we need a replacement for Steven Sims when it comes to kick returns and punt returns, and this guy's fast enough. Now, J.J. Taylor is 5'6" and 220 pounds out of Arizona. He's very fast, he's very quick, but in the sense of him taking a pounding every single play, I think kickoff and punt returns is probably best for him. He's fast enough, and not only that, he's fast enough and he's shifty enough to make people miss on tackles. So again, like I said, draft him to be the punt returner and kick returner. That would be his best fit. I told everybody that we needed to draft a backup quarterback because I don't think that signing one would make any sense. But to me, this guy would be a perfect backup quarterback for Dwayne Haskins. And that's Steven Montez from Colorado. He's 6'5" and 230 pounds. The thing that makes him great is the thing that gets him in trouble, because he's a gunslinger. The guy has an incredible arm when it comes to throwing the ball. He has a very strong arm. But he tries his best to throw himself out of trouble and he doesn't come off of his first read as quickly. So he's to me, I think that he fits the mold of a great backup quarterback. He can come in games. He definitely can play off time. So if a play breaks down, he can scramble and make the play. These are traits that you can't find a lot of quarterbacks, but he definitely has that trait. And it's one that will get him out of trouble, but it's also one that will get him in trouble. So, but again, if you're looking at him only as a backup and not really as a starter, it's the perfect fit. So I like Steven Montez out of Colorado to be our backup quarterback. The last guy is a guy that I don't even understand why he's rated so low on so many draft prospect boards. But the guy is Saahdiq Charles, the left tackle at LSU. He's 6'5" and 295 pounds. The guy, I'll give y'all an example. Look at the national championship game and just pay attention to this one play. It was one play. Joe Burrow had a problem finding wide receivers that were open. Saahdiq Charles is standing in front of Joe Burrow, holding the defensive end up, making sure he does not get to Joe Burrow. Saahdiq Charles has great technique. He's a senior, so he's basically kind of pretty much polished at this point. Now, the guy to me is the perfect fit. Now, when it comes to, we got our issues with Trent. Yes, we do. But I think that this guy could step in immediately and play with Trent. Yeah, he gets pushed back slightly, but not as much as people think that he gets pushed back. If you look at the film and you look at the games, the guy actually looks very good when it comes to playing against top level talent. And again, he's basically already polished. You don't really need much to do with him other than to show him what the scheme is. The guy is a phenomenal lineman. The fact that he's rated so low on draft boards is insane. And Saahdiq Charles is that guy. So again, I've given you these notable players to pay attention to at the scouting combine. All these guys, every last single one of these guys can fall to our picks. And I'm going to do my film breakdown after the combine, because right after that, once the combine happens, you're going to get the measurables. You're going to see how high these guys jump. We're going to see how strong they are. But I'm going to do my film breakdown after the combine. And like I said, y'all, these are all guys that can fall down to our picks. Other than that, this has been your man, John Fortune, and this has been the Frustrated Fan Sports Show.